you, they will go bankrupt. But you will live 10 years longer than you living now.
That's right.
And happily.
Oh. Okay, now,
look, I make these pills here, and in lieu of for a healthy person, they even start eating these things just for preventing, so you don't ever get the cancer, right? I mean,
preventative maintenance.
it works on all types of other diseases, except cancer, except besides cancer. Every single thing is 100% works for. And all the people that don't know, they were told, but they don't listen. And I'm telling you, don't do it. Go to I have a stroke, and unless you don't know it, about 10 years ago, 9 years ago, I had a stroke. I can't speak for 3 or 4 years at all. And getting back to talk, but I think this is the one thing that can save the universe, save the atmosphere, dry the ground, and then 2 to 10 years longer on life. Damn.
What about the Chernobyl studies in hemp?
Yeah. Well. Come on. Well, come on.
Well, I know. All I know is what I've Googled.
I know.
Go out there and Google hemp. You Google. I did Chernobyl hemp, and it's proven that in the grounds where all the radiation is, and all the heavy metals and toxic metals are being absorbed and dissolved by hemp fields. So. There's no reason why we can't get this legal this year with all this information, for goodness sakes. What are we doing? Cannabis. Jack told me this one, so. My name is Michael M. Hello. I'm artist, philosopher. Let's see, cannabis. Cannabis is a Greek word. Canna is canine. That's a dog. Bisbai is two. That's a two-dog plant. Come from the two-dog star, which we call Ceres today. It's the only natural fiber on Earth that twists to the left. All other natural fibers twist to the right, so you can't graft them on to the hemp plant. So it stands alone. Now, question, does its DNA twist to the left? If it does, then that's evidence that it is extraterrestrial.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I read, there's a book by George C. Andrews, a ufologist. His first book was excellent.
Come.
He talks about what?
Come, please.
Oh yeah, please.
We pass this around.
Okay. You're referring to there's a book of very good scholarship by a man named George C. Andrews. Unfortunately, his second book kind of indicates that he went off the deep end into paranoia. But his first book was excellently researched, and there seems to be some kind of evidence that that hemp, along with corn and some other very important crops, maize were from somewhere else. I just wanted to point that out, that it's not just a joking, ridicule thing. Most people automatically ridicule the idea of UFOs as a knee-jerk reaction.
That's very common.
It was started by the government, in
I
1948.
Jack Harris for coming here today. So let's hear it for Jack. Yeah.
Woo!
Right on, Jack. Well, we have another gentleman here, and while everybody's still here, Mr. George Clayton Johnson, could you please step forward? Just give us a couple of minutes. We all know George. He's a writer or something like that. George, my friend, what an honor.
Yay, George!
All right.
So, my name is George Clayton Johnson.
Speaking of
I've lived in the San Fernando Valley for almost 60 years. I've been married to the same woman for 56 years. I have 2 kids.
Hello. Go on.
I have 2 kids. both of them started smoking pot when they were about 12. I am a radical thinker. For example, I would burn down all the prisons, and I would lock up all the classrooms. And I would bring back flogging. And then when people misbehaved, first they get shamed a little bit. And if that didn't take, they'd get a spanking. And if that didn't take, they would get the whip. And if they would keep getting worse, as they keep getting worse, and if they cannot put 2 and 2 together, we are better off without them. So, back to hemp. Hemp has been around 8,000 years at least, for sure. I've lived 80 of those years. That's a pretty good chunk of the whole history that we have of the world. This goes back to China and the Xin Pharmacopoeia that prescribed cannabis as medicine.
As the #1 medicine.
That's right.
As the #1 medicine. So, now, this didn't start just yesterday. They invoked the name of Captain Ed Adair. He opened the Heads and Hides head shop in Van Nuys and was a very celebrated hippie who loved the 60s and was trying to bring it back. Buddy Doozy was around in those days. Jack was around. Jack and Ed were partners. They both owned head shops. They both believed in liberty. They're both super intelligent people. Both of them very, very dedicated. Out of it came The Emperor Wears No Clothes and the memory of Captain Ed Adair, who was about the closest thing to a saint the hemp movement ever produced. And he's helped an awful lot of people who are in this very room who know him. I hung around with the guy for about 8 years. I spent 3 or 4 days a week hanging out at his house, smoking his dope, occupying the minds of all of his loyal helpers, of which he had many. He bailed people out of jail in the middle of the night. He had people steal expensive scales from him and would laugh it off. He had a great forgiveness index, but one thing he really knew was that hemp can still save the world.
Yes.
From all of its utter foolishness, if we go over to hemp, we can still save the world. Otherwise, the odds are really very good that we cannot. That pollution will get us, that our own garbage will get us, that all of our children will kill us. There's a million things out there waiting to tear civilization apart. There are either citizen types, when the bomb goes off, they start clearing away the rubble. Then there are the barbarian types who use it up, wear it out, cover it with tape, throw crap on it. Hell, it was old anyway, bam, crash. And that philosophy exists today, only we call them terrorists. They don't care if the world gets blown apart, or that the sewage doesn't work, or that there's no toilet paper in the supermarket tomorrow. They don't care about that. But we citizen types care about it, and we all ought to gather together against this philosophy of waste. Too many fucking pieces of paper wrap up your hamburger. Too fucking many pieces of paper. There's no goddamn need for it. Forests of the world, we'd never have to cut down another tree for lumber, to build our houses, to make our paper, to solve almost all of our damn problems, as wood does. Wood is much too beautiful to be put inside of a wall somewhere.
It's getting that way.
So, we're having a general awakening. Everybody's proven they can't handle it. The prisons are overstaffed, over-budgeted, they are schools for turning an entire culture. Have you noticed the baggy clothes